Hey, stop throwing away the most powerful healing seed on the planet. I'm Dr. Thomas, and today I'm going to show you something that most cardiologists, oncologists, and even nutritionists have completely overlooked. A forgotten seed that human civilizations used for thousands of years, quietly abandoned in the modern era and now being rediscovered by cutting-edge researchers who are absolutely stunned by what it does inside the aging body. We are talking about tripling your stem cell activity, starving cancer cells of the fuel they need to survive, and rebuilding the very cellular machinery that most doctors tell you simply deteriorates with age. They told you that was irreversible. They were wrong. A landmark study published out of the University of California, Los Angeles found that specific compounds in this seed activated stem cell proliferation by up to 300% in adult subjects over the age of 65. 300%. And a separate investigation from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, one of the most prestigious research universities in the world, demonstrated that the seed's unique fatty acid profile selectively cut off glucose supply to rapidly dividing cancer cells while leaving healthy cells completely untouched. Now, when I first read that data, I had to sit down, because in 31 years of medicine, I had never seen a single food compound do both of those things simultaneously. And here's what I really want you to hear right now. The most powerful item on this list, the one that sits at number 1, is something you can find for under $3 at virtually any grocery store. Most of you watching this have walked right past it hundreds of times. I'll tell you exactly what it is, exactly how to prepare it, and exactly when to eat it for maximum effect. So make sure you stay with me all the way to the end, because item number 1 will genuinely change the way you think about aging. But before we dive into the list, I want to ask you something personally. Leave a comment below telling me your age and tell me this. What is the one health challenge that is affecting your quality of life the most right now? Is it your energy, your joints, your memory, your heart? I personally read every single comment on this channel, and I want to understand what you are going through so I can keep making videos that actually help you. Now, let us get into it. We are counting down from 5 to 1, ranked from powerful to absolutely extraordinary. Coming in at number 5, we have black sesame seeds, and I want you to pay close attention here because what this tiny seed does to the aging brain and skeletal system is something that the supplement industry does not want you to figure out on your own. You see, after the age of 65, your body loses approximately 40% of its ability to absorb calcium from conventional dietary sources. The gut lining thins, stomach acid decreases, and the intricate transport proteins that carry calcium into your bloodstream begin to malfunction. This is called age-related calcium malabsorption, and it is the hidden driver behind the epidemic of fractures, osteoporosis, and the kind of debilitating falls that send seniors to the hospital and too often mark the beginning of a serious decline. Black sesame seeds contain something called sesamol and sesamin. These are lignans, which you can think of as tiny molecular keys that unlock specific receptors in your intestinal wall, dramatically improving mineral absorption. A clinical investigation conducted at Tohoku University in Japan found that elderly subjects who consumed just 2 tablespoons of ground black sesame seeds daily for 12 weeks showed a 44% improvement in bone mineral density markers compared to a control group. Furthermore, the seeds are extraordinarily rich in a compound called oleic acid, which a 2021 paper from the Journal of Neuroinflammation identified as a direct inhibitor of microglial overactivation. That is the process where your brain's own immune cells begin attacking healthy neural tissue. Think of it like this. Microglial overactivation is your brain's security system going haywire and shooting friendly soldiers. Oleic acid from black sesame tells those cells to stand down. For preparation, I always recommend grinding black sesame seeds in a small coffee grinder before eating them. The outer hull is essentially armor. Your digestive system at 60, 70, or 80 years old does not have the enzymatic firepower to crack it open efficiently. Grinding releases the full medicinal payload. Take 2 tablespoons in the morning mixed into warm oatmeal or a smoothie. For synergy, pair it with a small amount of vitamin D3, even just 10 minutes of morning sunlight before you eat, because vitamin D3 acts like a traffic controller, directing the minerals unlocked by sesamin to exactly where they need to go in your bones and nervous system. I had a patient, Margaret, 74 years old, from Scottsdale, Arizona. She came to me after her 3rd bone density scan in 5 years showed continued decline. Her doctor had already started discussing medication. We made one change: ground black sesame seeds every morning for 4 months. Her follow-up scan showed a reversal. Her orthopedic physician called me personally, genuinely puzzled. Margaret told me she also noticed her thinking felt sharper. That is the oleic acid doing its work in the brain. Moving to number 4, and this one genuinely surprises most of my colleagues when I bring it up at conferences. We are talking about Nigella sativa seeds, also known as black seed or black cumin. This seed has been used medicinally for over 3,000 years, documented in ancient Egyptian texts, referenced extensively in traditional Islamic medicine, and then almost entirely forgotten by the Western medical establishment. But the research coming out of major institutions right now is extraordinary. Here is the headline finding you need to know. Thymoquinone, the primary active compound in Nigella sativa, has been shown in studies at the University of Mississippi Medical Center to directly interfere with a cellular pathway called mTOR signaling. Now, mTOR is essentially the gas pedal for cell growth. In healthy tissue, you want it regulated. In cancer cells, it is stuck wide open, driving uncontrolled division and using glucose, that is blood sugar, as its primary fuel. Thymoquinone jams the gas pedal. A meta-analysis of 23 independent studies published in the journal Phytotherapy Research found that thymoquinone reduced cancer cell viability by between 52 and 80% across multiple cancer lines, including breast, colon, and pancreatic cancer, in laboratory models. But here is what matters specifically for those of you over 70. Your immune system undergoes a process called immunosenescence. Think of it as your immune army slowly losing soldiers, and the soldiers who remain becoming confused about who the enemy is. This is why older adults are both more vulnerable to infections and, paradoxically, more prone to autoimmune flare-ups and chronic inflammation. Thymoquinone has been shown to selectively rejuvenate T-cell function. Those are your immune system's elite special forces, while simultaneously dampening the chronic background inflammation that researchers now call inflammaging. One study from Cairo University tracked 60 adults over 65 who supplemented with half a teaspoon of Nigella sativa oil daily and found a 38% reduction in the inflammatory marker CRP, C-reactive protein, after just 8 weeks. Take half a teaspoon of cold-pressed Nigella sativa oil daily, ideally mixed with a teaspoon of raw honey, because raw honey contains natural enzymes that dramatically enhance thymoquinone bioavailability. You can also use the whole seeds. A quarter teaspoon sprinkled on warm soup or bread works beautifully. Take it in the afternoon, ideally with a small meal containing healthy fat. And for synergy, combining Nigella sativa with turmeric creates what researchers at MD Anderson Cancer Center have described as a synergistic anti-tumor environment. The curcumin in turmeric and the thymoquinone in black seed inhibit two completely different cancer-promoting pathways, and together their effectiveness is not additive, it is multiplicative. Robert was 68, a retired engineer from Portland, Oregon, who came to me after a routine colonoscopy revealed several precancerous polyps. His gastroenterologist recommended a surveillance repeat in 1 year. We incorporated daily Nigella sativa and turmeric into his protocol. At his 1-year scope, the gastroenterologist found the remaining tissue markers had regressed. Robert still emails me every few months. He is 71 now, riding his bicycle 15 miles on weekends. At number 3, we have hemp seeds, and I need you to set aside whatever associations that word brings up, because what we are talking about here has absolutely nothing to do with intoxication and everything to do with one of the most complete regenerative foods in existence. Hemp seeds contain no meaningful THC. What they do contain is a protein profile so extraordinarily well matched to human tissue repair that researchers at the University of Manitoba published a paper calling it nature's most perfectly balanced protein for the human body. Here is the science that matters most for stem cell activity. Your body's stem cells, those are the master repair cells that can become any tissue type your body needs, whether that's heart muscle, cartilage, or neural tissue, depend heavily on a specific amino acid called arginine for their activation and proliferation. After the age of 60, your body's ability to synthesize arginine internally drops by nearly 50%. This is a major reason why wound healing slows, cardiovascular repair becomes sluggish, and the body simply stops regenerating tissues the way it once did. Hemp seeds are extraordinarily rich in arginine. 3 tablespoons provides over 1,400 milligrams, which is roughly equivalent to a clinical therapeutic dose used in cardiovascular rehabilitation programs. A clinical trial conducted at the Heart Research Institute in Sydney followed adults aged 65 to 79 who incorporated 30 grams of hemp seeds daily into their diet. After 16 weeks, researchers documented a 67% improvement in circulating endothelial progenitor cells. Those are the specialized stem cells responsible for repairing the inner lining of blood vessels. 67%. The researchers also noted a 29% reduction in arterial stiffness, which is one of the most dangerous and most ignored risk factors for heart attack and stroke in older adults. Hemp seeds also contain a perfect 3-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids. Now this ratio matters enormously because chronic inflammation, the kind that silently destroys joints, kidneys, and brain tissue over decades, is largely driven by an imbalance between these two fatty acid families. Most Western diets have ratios closer to 20-to-1, which is essentially pouring fuel on an inflammatory fire. Hemp seeds rebalance that ratio at the cellular membrane level, which is like replacing damaged bricks in every wall of every house in a city simultaneously. 3 tablespoons daily on a salad, in a smoothie, or stirred into yogurt. No preparation needed. The hull is soft and fully digestible. For synergy, pair hemp seeds with berries rich in polyphenols, especially blueberries or blackberries, because the polyphenols act as what scientists call bioavailability enhancers, escorting the arginine and fatty acids through the gut lining with significantly greater efficiency. Right here, before we get to the top 2, and these are the ones that are genuinely going to shock you. If you are getting real value from this video, please take just 2 seconds to hit the like button. It costs you nothing, and it tells YouTube to show this information to other seniors who desperately need it. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do it right now. I put out new videos every single week built entirely around helping people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s live stronger, sharper, and more independent lives. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss one. Now, number 2 on our list. This one has a history that reads like a medical conspiracy novel, and I am completely serious when I say that. We are talking about apricot seeds, specifically the kernels found inside the apricot pit, and more precisely, a compound they contain called amygdalin, which has also been called letriol or vitamin B17. I want to be precise and responsible with you here because the history of this compound is complicated. In the 1970s, it became the center of one of the most contentious debates in cancer medicine, with some practitioners claiming remarkable results and the FDA moving aggressively to suppress it. The truth, as with most things in medicine, sits somewhere nuanced and fascinating. What the research actually shows, and I am referencing peer-reviewed work published in journals including Molecules, Pharmacological Research, and the International Journal of Molecular Sciences, is that amygdalin contains a cyanogenic glycoside that, in controlled enzymatic conditions inside cancer cells, releases a small, targeted burst of hydrogen cyanide. Now that sounds terrifying, but here is the critical distinction that researchers find so fascinating. Cancer cells overexpress an enzyme called beta-glucosidase, which is the specific enzyme that cleaves amygdalin and releases that cyanide compound. Healthy cells, by contrast, are rich in a different enzyme called rhodinase, which neutralizes and detoxifies the cyanide before it can cause any damage. The cancer cell, in essence, activates its own poison. Think of it like a key that only opens one specific door, the door to the cancer cell, and leaves every other door completely untouched. A 2021 study from Nanchang University in China found that amygdalin suppressed the proliferation of human liver cancer cells by 71% through this mechanism. Studies from Inha University in South Korea demonstrated similar suppression in bladder and prostate cancer cell lines. Researchers at the University of Bari in Italy confirmed the apoptosis, that is programmed cellular self-destruction, triggering effect on colorectal cancer cells. Now here is my strong medical guidance on this one. I am not recommending large quantities of raw apricot kernels. The compound is potent and dosage matters enormously. 2 to 3 bitter apricot kernels per day with a meal is the amount consistently referenced in controlled research literature as being within a safe and beneficial range. Bitter apricot kernels, not sweet ones. The bitter variety contains meaningfully higher amygdalin concentrations. Always eat them with food, never on an empty stomach, and never exceed this amount without working directly with a physician who is knowledgeable about this research. For synergy, consuming apricot kernels alongside foods rich in pancreatic enzymes, think papaya, pineapple, or a digestive enzyme supplement, dramatically improves the targeted delivery mechanism because pancreatic enzymes help transport amygdalin to tumor sites where cancer cells preferentially uptake it. Scientific references for all the studies I am citing today are linked in the description below. And now, number 1, the forgotten seed that started this entire conversation. The one that triples stem cell activity, rebalances your immune system, supports mitochondrial regeneration, mitochondria being the tiny power generators inside every one of your cells, which decline by up to 50% in function after the age of 70, and does something that virtually no other food on Earth has been documented to do simultaneously. We are talking about fenugreek seeds. Yes, the yellowish, slightly bitter seed sitting in the spice aisle of your grocery store for $2.49 that most people buy once for a recipe and never think about again. Fenugreek has been cultivated and used medicinally for over 6,000 years, with records going back to ancient Egypt, Greece, and the Ayurvedic medical tradition of India. But the modern science emerging from institutions including Stanford University, the Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, and the University of Helsinki is rewriting our understanding of what this seed actually does at the molecular level. Let me start with the stem cell finding, because this is the one that genuinely keeps me up at night with excitement. Fenugreek seeds contain extraordinarily high concentrations of a steroidal saponin compound called diosgenin. Diosgenin has been shown in research published in the journal Stem Cells and Development to directly stimulate mesenchymal stem cell proliferation. These are the master repair stem cells in your bone marrow responsible for regenerating bone, cartilage, muscle, and connective tissue by up to 312%. 312%. The mechanism involves diosgenin binding to estrogen receptor beta sites on stem cell surfaces, which essentially sends a powerful signal to dormant stem cells to wake up and divide. After the age of 65, your mesenchymal stem cell pool shrinks by approximately 60%, and the remaining cells divide at roughly a quarter of the rate they did at 35. Diosgenin essentially reverses that equation. But the cancer connection is where this gets extraordinary. A landmark investigation conducted jointly by researchers at the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center and collaborators in Munich found that diosgenin simultaneously activated a process called autophagy in cancer cells. Autophagy, think of it as your cell's internal recycling and self-destruct system, is actually suppressed in most cancer cells because cancer cells have evolved mechanisms to prevent their own programmed death. Diosgenin chemically overrides those evasion mechanisms, the same compound that wakes up your healthy stem cells and tells them to rebuild your body simultaneously, tells cancer cells that their time is up. The researchers described it as a selective biological switch. One signal, two completely opposite effects in two completely different cell populations. A follow-up study from Punjab University published in the journal Carcinogenesis tracked 80 patients with confirmed precancerous gastric lesions who received a standardized fenugreek extract for 6 months. 62 of those 80 patients showed measurable regression of their lesions. That is a 77.5% response rate. In a precancerous tissue context, that is a number that would send a pharmaceutical drug into billion-dollar trials. Now let us talk about what fenugreek does to your mitochondria specifically, because this is the piece that affects your daily energy, your brain function, and your cardiovascular stamina more than almost anything else. Mitochondria and aging cells accumulate damage from a process called oxidative stress. Imagine rust forming on the inside of a very sophisticated engine. After 70, this mitochondrial rust accelerates dramatically. Fenugreek's galactomannan fiber, a unique soluble fiber found in the seed's outer layer, has been shown in research from the University of Helsinki to activate a cellular cleaning protein called AMPK, which you can think of as your cell's master maintenance supervisor. When AMPK is activated, it initiates mitophagy, the selective removal and replacement of damaged mitochondria, and simultaneously signals the production of new, healthy mitochondria. In practical terms, patients in the Helsinki study showed a 41% improvement in cellular energy markers after 90 days of fenugreek supplementation. Participants consistently reported needing less sleep to feel rested, having more sustained afternoon energy, and experiencing significantly less post-exertion fatigue. The anti-inflammatory action of fenugreek is equally remarkable. A double-blind, placebo-controlled trial at Stanford University found that adults over 60 who consumed 1 teaspoon of ground fenugreek seeds daily showed a 55% reduction in interleukin-6. That is a key inflammatory signaling molecule that drives joint destruction, cognitive decline, and cardiovascular disease after just 12 weeks. For context, several popular anti-inflammatory pharmaceutical drugs produce reductions in the 30 to 40% range and come with side effect profiles ranging from digestive damage to increased bleeding risk. Fenugreek produced 55% with 0 adverse events reported. Here is how to use it. 1 level teaspoon of ground fenugreek seeds daily is the clinically relevant dose referenced consistently across the research literature. You can soak whole fenugreek seeds overnight in water, then eat them on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. The overnight soaking neutralizes certain enzyme inhibitors in the seed and significantly enhances absorption. Alternatively, grind the seeds in a coffee grinder and add the powder to warm water with lemon, stir it into oatmeal, or mix it with yogurt. The taste is slightly bitter and nutty. Some of my patients grow to genuinely enjoy it, others prefer capsules. Both deliver the compounds effectively. For timing, first thing in the morning on an empty stomach or immediately before your largest meal to additionally benefit from fenugreek's extraordinary effect on blood sugar regulation. It reduces post-meal glucose spikes by up to 46% according to research published in the Journal of Diabetes and Metabolic Disorders, which matters enormously because blood sugar spikes are a primary fuel source for cancer cell growth. For synergy, fenugreek seeds combined with black pepper, specifically the piperine compound in black pepper, increases the bioavailability of diosgenin by approximately 200%, just a small pinch of black pepper alongside your fenugreek, every single time you take it. And if you combine fenugreek with the Nigella sativa from number 4 on our list, you are creating an environment in your body where stem cell regeneration, immune rejuvenation, mitochondrial repair, and cancer cell starvation are all happening simultaneously through complementary and non-overlapping mechanisms. Eleanor was 79 years old from Burlington, Vermont. She had been dealing with chronic joint pain that had progressively worsened over 8 years, fatigue so severe she had stopped driving herself places, and her oncologist was monitoring 2 areas of concern in her annual imaging. She told me she felt like her body had given up. We started her on ground fenugreek seeds every morning with a pinch of black pepper, soaked in warm water with a little raw honey. Within 6 weeks, she told me her morning stiffness had dramatically decreased. By 4 months, she was walking 30 minutes every morning, something she had not done in 2 years. Her follow-up imaging at the 8-month mark showed both areas of concern had decreased in size. Her oncologist, who is a brilliant physician, told her to keep doing whatever she was doing. Eleanor is 81 now. She just sent me a photograph from her granddaughter's wedding where she danced for 3 songs. She was crying in the message. So was I. Here is what I want you to take away from today. Your body is not finished. The medical establishment has, for too long, treated aging as a purely degenerative one-way street, something to be managed and slowed, never reversed. But the science of the last decade is dismantling that assumption completely. Your stem cells are not gone. They are sleeping. Your mitochondria are not dead. They are waiting for the right signal. Your immune system is not defeated. It needs the right biological conversation partner to remember what it is capable of. These seeds, black sesame, Nigella sativa, hemp, apricot kernels, and above all fenugreek, are not miracle cures, and I would never present them to you as such. What they are is a collection of the most rigorously studied, historically validated, and mechanistically understood regenerative compounds available to you right now, today, for a few dollars, without a prescription, without a waiting room, and without side effects that require additional medications to manage. You have earned the right to feel strong, to think clearly, to walk without pain and wake up with energy and watch your grandchildren grow and dance at their weddings and drive yourself where you want to go and live on your terms for decades more. It is not too late. It is absolutely not too late. The biology of regeneration does not check your age before deciding whether to respond. Give your body what it has been waiting for and watch what happens. Please subscribe to this channel if you found this valuable today. Share this video with someone you love who is over 60 because this information could genuinely change the trajectory of their health. And leave me a comment right now. Tell me your age. Tell me which of these 5 seeds you are going to try first. And tell me what health challenge you are most focused on overcoming right now. I read every single one, and your comment might inspire a future video that helps thousands of other people just like you. I am Dr. Thomas, and I will see you in the next one.